Welcome to the inaugural edition of Bob versus Willie. This is a show that is, you guessed it, about Bob versus Willie. That's Bob Gersztyn. I'm Willie Witten. We're going to be sitting here for the next few minutes having at each other, and Bob is going to have to learn today why his opinions on the top 10 Grateful Dead songs of all time are horrendously wrong. How does that sound to you, Bob?
Well, I guess you'll have to prove your point, but go right ahead and try.
I'm going to let you lead in. Why don't we do a quick run through with your list of the top 10 Dead songs?
All right. My top list is number 10, U.S. Blues. Number 9, The Golden Road to Unlimited Devotion. Number 8, Dark Star. Number 7, Bertha. Number 6, Uncle John's Band. Number 5, Truckin'. Number 4, Touch of Grey. 3, Casey Jones. 2, Sugar Magnolia. And 1, Friend of the Devil.
Bob, I got to be honest, I think it's a decent list, but I think you're missing a couple things. I'm going to go ahead and present my list, and then you can tell me why I'm wrong. I think you're going to find that that's not the case. Number 10 for me, Touch of Grey. 9, Jack Straw. 8, Fire on the Mountain. 7, Scarlet Begonias. 6, New Minglewood Blues. 5, Morning Dew. 4, Althea. 3, China Cat Sunflower / I Know You Rider. 2, Loser. 1, Broke Down Palace. Bob, right off the bat, what I've noticed is you went a little more in the direction of some of the album greats, whereas I took more of the live stellar output. Why with a band like the Grateful Dead are you going into their albums when we all know they were one of the greatest live bands of all time? Explain that to me.
Well, you're absolutely right. You had to see the Grateful Dead live to really appreciate them. You would never appreciate them from listening to their album. I never appreciated them. I had listened to the Grateful Dead for the first time back when I was in the Army in the 1960s, but I never went to a Grateful Dead concert, and I pretty much dismissed them until the 1980s. And the only reason why I even got into them at all was because of Bob Dylan. I went to go see a Dylan and the Dead concert, and I had to endure 4 hours of the Grateful Dead opening up for Bob Dylan before Bob Dylan came out and played a 1-hour set. Well, when I was there, the thing that astounded me was that here I was in a packed out stadium of over 50,000 people, and all of them, when I talked to different people, they weren't there to see Dylan that I was. They were there to see the Dead. And the thing that astounded me the most was some of these people were young. I mean, they were teenagers. They couldn't even have known the Grateful Dead. Sure, if they were there with their parents, that's one thing, but they were there by themselves, and they were college students. And some of them had never even heard of the Grateful Dead before, but it was just because of the mythology that they came. After that, I began to listen to them more seriously, but I found that the way to really appreciate them, if you didn't know anything about them, was to listen to some of their catchiest tunes. And the tunes that I listed were all radio hits, and they were all off the albums. But at the same time, when you would see them in concert, they might jam for 15 minutes on one of those songs.
Right. So that's why I've got Morning Dew up there. I've got Scarlet Begonias. Those songs were easily songs that would drag into 14 or 15 minutes. I love a good jam band. That's why I have those on there. So when I see you've got Touch of Grey at number 4, and you've got Friend of the Devil at number 1, Bob, I love those songs too. But don't you feel that that's not the band's wheelhouse? Don't you feel that the best stuff is when they just go off on a Fire on the Mountain? I mean, I picked Broke Down Palace as number 1 because I think that song is just so beautiful and it's so intense. But most of my other songs on this list were, with the exception of Touch of Grey, most of them were bigger in concert than they were on CDs. How could you tell me that Dark Star is a top 10, but you're not going to say Morning Dew is?
Because I think in the Grateful Dead's case, that you could take 50 different songs and name any one of them as the top 10 song. If you saw them and you dropped some acid and you really saw the Dead the way they were supposed to be seen, and the Grateful Dead, there's no getting around it. They were an acid band. They were a psychedelic band. They were still doing that. I saw them in 1995, the last concert that they performed in Oregon. I took my 21-year-old son with me, and we had backstage passes. And at the same time, we were listening to the concert, and I was photographing it. And when it was all done, we're walking out, and there's this hippie running at us. He's only got a pair of shorts, no shirt, no shoes, no nothing except for this pair of shorts, and his hair is all ragged. And he comes running up to people, bugging them. And I'm going, man, I hope he doesn't come to us. And the next thing you know, he comes right up to us and so, here, hit an acid, take it free. And I go, man, I got to drive home. Thank you anyway. And so my son says to me afterwards, I thought stuff like this only happened in the 1960s. And I told him, this has been happening ever since. The newspaper just doesn't report it. But there was much acid flowing in 1995 at a Grateful Dead concert as there was back in 1965. And
Right.
That's the thing. That's the difference. You see a concert on acid, and after you saw that concert on acid, whatever song it was that you got impressed by, that song will be indelibly impressed in your mind. And it doesn't matter which song it is. And they would jam over the years on every song. So that's my
true.
reasoning. The song is irrelevant.
So, okay. So what you're saying pretty much is, even this is our inaugural episode, this is maybe a tough one to talk about, because it sounds like you're saying that you'd bet good money over bad that if we had 10 different people and asked them to do 10 different lists, we're going to get 10 different responses.
Exactly. There's too many to choose from. And the thing is, I mean, you could take half of Bob Dylan songs and they did them,
Right.
or any of the other songs that they would do covers of, and they would do covers of them that were sometimes better than the originals.
Right. I mean, the only song we have on this list in common is Touch of Grey. I put that one. I know that's sacrilegious to a lot of Deadheads. The reason why I included that one at the end of my list is because I felt it was sort of important. The Dead had obviously never been forgotten amongst the Deadhead family themselves, but a lot of people never really gave the Dead credence, and that song made its way off the In the Dark album into the radio. And I think for a lot of my friends who don't really like the Dead, don't have time for a 22-minute jam song or dropping into space or the drum session, even they can say that Touch of Grey is an awesome song, even if the Deadheads, who are the most fervent, don't want to see this on the list. But I guess you're right, because I look at the list and it's the only song that we share on this. And Bob, as much as I'd love to rip you for this list, I can't really argue with anything you put on the list. I almost included US Blues. I've always enjoyed that one. I came close to Truckin', and I came pretty close to Casey Jones as well. But I don't know. Where do you start? It's a hard list to dissect because there are too many. So what are you going to do, Bob? Besides, I guess, take a hit of acid and put on your favorite Dick's Picks album, right?
That's right.
Hey,
and just put it on repeat mode.
That's all the time we have today. Please let us know. Let us know why we are wrong. Put it in the comments section. Throw out your list so we can rip it when we get online to shred your picks, because that's what we're here for. This is all we have for today. For Bob Gersztyn, I'm Willie Witten, and this has been Bob versus Willie.